addiction is a choice, because it's not. It really isn't. Is that when you're not indulging in that addictive behavior, all you can think about is indulging in that addictive behavior. It's not what we choose to be addicted to, it's what does it do when we indulge in that addictive behavior. All addicts have one thing in common, and that is trauma. What's going on, guys? My name is Fausto. I'm a clinical counselor, motivational speaker, and spiritual advisor. But most importantly, I'm somebody who's battled with addiction, trauma, mental health, and a whole lot of codependency. And there's a lot of people out there that are healers, gurus, counselors that are giving a lot of bad advice. And this bad advice may be given not through a lack of wisdom or experience of working with people, but bad advice when taken can hurt us instead of heal us. And I'm somebody that's been able to not only go through the pain, but come through it the healthy way, go to school for it, and also work with tens of thousands of people because I was blessed to have a mentor who allowed thousands of people at his house a week for free to find healing. And in this video, we're going to be talking about what is addiction. We're going to talk about how it manifests in our life, and we're going to talk about solutions, how to break free to start the healing. Because remember, addiction is more than just substances. It's behaviors, people, places, and things. So we're going to dive deep into that stuff. And just to share with you guys that I have the credibility, right? The credibility to talk on this is I was addicted for 11 years, and I've been able to be 7 years clean now. And that's a combination of drugs, alcohol, people, ways of thinking, self-sabotage, codependency, so many things to be addicted to. And in my 11-year journey, I learned how to overcome it. And I want to help you guys be able to overcome it as well, because I can't stand that people say addiction is a choice, because it's not. It really isn't. There's a difference between a bad habit and an addiction. And in this video, we're going to talk about it. So as we get into today, the first one is, what is addiction? Addiction is an obsessive action that we will take no matter the pain it will cause us. And this can be drugs and alcohol. It can be people. It can be food, success, money, status, different behaviors, ways of thinking. Addiction can manifest in many different ways. If you find yourself finding that, like, when you try to stop, you can't, then that's something to look at. See, normally we don't know we're addicted to something until we try to stop. That's when you can start seeing that, maybe you do have a problem with this thing. So that's what addiction is. And to kind of just give you like an idea of like, why do some people get addicted and some people don't, is addiction is a way to feel connected. So in spiritual terms, addiction fills a void to connect with ourselves, with others, and something bigger than ourselves. So when people have this connection before they ever pick up any type of behavior or substance, the reason why they can put it down and stop is because they already have connection within them. But if we're lacking connection before we ever pick up that bad behavior, that substance, that's when we become addicted, because it's actually filling that void for us. And so addiction begins to save our lives. It's a healthy tool in the beginning and then ends up hurting us down the road. And so it sucks, right? Because something that saved our life now is killing us slowly. And that's why it's really hard to stop, because when we stop, we're faced with the problem. The problem that we've been avoiding our whole life comes up and it arises. And that's why for those of us that struggle with addiction, why it's so hard to stop. Because we start to realize the issue that was always within us. And we have to find the power as adults to be able to face it. And it's not easy. It's a journey. And it takes a lot of help from others to love us back to recovery. And so that's what addiction is. It's not a choice. It's not. And I hope that for those that are thinking it's a choice, that you can have more compassion for us and for yourself if you struggle with an addiction. Don't feel shame for it. This is something that was given to us based on our circumstances growing up. And now we can take back our power and we can recover. How does addiction manifest in our life? I'm going to give some examples of it manifesting in your life so you can self-identify as if you're an addict or your loved one's an addict. One aspect is you tell yourself you're using this thing to relieve stress. So that's something that we do to decompress. But then you find yourself not only using it to decompress, but you're finding that you need it to actually just live your life. That's something to look at, because again, it's like I had a bad day, so I do this. But then you have a good day and you use this. And then you're bored and you use this. And so you find yourself always using it. And that's something to be paying attention to, because what started off as a decompressor is now being used for everything. Another symptom is you may find yourself thinking about it constantly when you're not doing it. That's another telltale sign, is that when you're not indulging in that addictive behavior, all you can think about is indulging in that addictive behavior. That's another thing to look at, because people who don't have addictions don't think about it all the time. So when you find yourself thinking about it all the time, it shows you that addictive behavior is within you. Another one is you start seeing that it's ruining your finances, your health, and your relationships. And you also start putting your self-care aside. When you find that this addictive behavior that you're doing is starting to hurt the things around you, and even though you see that it's hurting that, you still can't stop it, that's another telltale sign that you have an addiction. Again, a normal person would stop when something bad is happening. So let's say we have John Smith has a drinking problem, and his wife says, I'm going to leave you if you don't stop drinking. And the kids are like, yeah, Dad, if you don't stop drinking, like, we don't want nothing to do with you. So John Smith gets his act in order, and all of a sudden he's a good husband and a good father. Now, people with addictions get that same type of treatment, right? I'm going to leave you. Kids say, we're not going to love you. And then John Smith can't stop drinking no matter what. That's what addiction looks like. And that's why it's really hard to be able to love somebody with an addiction, because addiction hurts everybody around them. We don't mean to, but behaviors like that hurt people around us. And it's not like cancer where people are like, oh, poor you got cancer. It's not like that. Addiction is usually shown as this shameful, terrible thing in the media and movies. And so it's a lot harder to have compassion from other people from it, or empathy. Why are we addicted? Why is some people addicted and some people are not? And I know we talked about it a little in earlier. And the reason why some of us are addicted and some of us are not is because, like I said earlier, if we grow up with the perception of abandonment, neglect, feeling invisible, like something's missing, then we'll start to look for it outside of us. And once you find this substance or thing to try, and you find yourself feeling whole, complete, alive, loved, worthy, is you go and live your life chasing that thing that gives you that. And that's why, again, it could be so many different things. You have alcohol that gives you liquid courage. You have ecstasy that gives you a good time at the raves, to talk to people, to connect with people, to dance, to not care what people think. You have fitness, where if you get in really good shape, people give you compliments, people will flirt with you, people, like a person that looks like that's a lot of validation. Maybe it's fixing people. You get a lot of validation from helping people, so that becomes your sense of self-worth. And it can be other things like food too, for comfort, eating to deal with stress, self-harm to deal with life and stress. So there's so many things we become addicted to. It's not what we choose to be addicted to. It's what does it do when we indulge in that addictive behavior? To escape, to numb, to feel connected. That's what is really going on with this thing. And so when we grow up, like I said, with abandonment, neglect, not feeling seen or heard, is that we go looking outside of it. And again, it's not what happens to us as a kid, it's our perception of what happens to us. That's why you can have a sibling that doesn't become an addict and one does. It's because one of the people was viewing the perception of childhood in a different way, which is maybe one person was more sensitive than the other. And that's what ends up happening. And so that's how we become addicted. And I'm not here to make you feel any worse or feel any shame. Addiction is a powerful tool when used correctly in a healthy way. Because addictive personalities don't disappear. We just choose to deal with the problem so we can become addicted to more healthier things and balance, to be aware of it. And so addiction is, like I said, we're willing to risk our life to get our fix. Now imagine if you use that for something good in life. You'll be the best father, mother, friend, coworker, business person, advocate, so many things. It's a beautiful skill to have. We feel so deeply the things around us that we're able to have empathy and compassion. We're go-getters. We're people who are very creative people, very talented people. It's a gift that can be a curse. And so we're here to remember that let's not shame ourselves for it. Let's not shame others. And nothing that we did was a waste of time, because even though we may feel like we've wasted our time in our addiction, life will use all those experiences for good. For example, let's say someone's a drug dealer and they get their life right, they become a very good business owner. If somebody got really good at people pleasing, right, seeking validation through people for helping, that person can become a very good therapist. So you see what I'm saying? People who are really good at manipulating, let's say they're addicted to manipulating, they become very good motivational speakers. And so we understand pain, we feel pain, we can help the pain. And there's a lot of beauty in it when we get our life right. So I don't want to shame you. I just want you to know you're very special people. We just need the guidance to channel that energy into something good. The last part of this is solutions to addiction. Now, there are many ways to recover. So I'm going to break down some ways to start the journey. But remember, it's very complex and it's a lifetime. I have 7 years clean and I'm still working on myself constantly. I still go to therapy. I still go to support groups. I'm still helping others. I'm still sharing my story. I'm still taking care of my health. I find myself maybe not picking up drugs and alcohol anymore, maybe not as codependent anymore, but I can find myself falling into other patterns, addictive habits. And so I tend to be able to be aware of it though, and then be able to work on it. And so the first step is self-awareness. If you're not honest with yourself that you have an addiction problem, you're never going to change. That's why in 12-step programs, the first step is you admit that you have a problem and that your life has become unmanageable. So if you can become honest with yourself and be like, I am an addict, guess what? You're closer than most people when it comes to the healing process. Number 2, you got to find some form of support. So there's AA, NA, there's Celebrate Recovery, which is more of a Christian base, and there's different styles of it. There's Refuge Recovery, which is a Buddhist approach. You have Smart Recovery, that's a more science approach. And those are the free ones that are out there. They have ACA meetings when it comes to adult children of alcoholics, which is for people with childhood trauma and how addiction manifests from that. They have Eating Disorder Anonymous for people with addicted to food. They have Gamblers Anonymous. They have CODA for codependence, right? Addicted to people. So there's a lot of free help out there. And the reason why it's important to get to these meetings is we can't do this alone. We need to be a part of people going through the same struggle so we feel seen and heard, and to go on the journey with us of healing, because we need each other. You can get a sponsor in it, which is somebody who's, what I would like to say is where you want to be in your recovery, and they guide you through a process and they love you where you're at, which is what we need. And then you have sponsees, which are people you get to share your story with to help. And there's a beauty in sharing our truth of our addiction to help others, because now it has purpose and there's meaning, which helps us forgive the past and forgive ourselves and forgive those who've hurt us. And we're able to find gratitude and joy in our life. We know it wasn't wasted. We know it wasn't for nothing. And that right there is healing. And they say service is the cure to addiction. Let's say that again. Service is the cure to addiction. Now, the only disease in the world that service is the cure is addiction. And why is that? Because when you are of service to others in love, it releases the same chemicals in our brain as the substance or thing that our addiction feeds into, right? The high that we get from the addiction, service gives us that same high. And so we need to be able to still get our fix, but do it in a healthy way, which is service. And that's why people with addiction problems are the ones who are the most loving, selfless people in the world, because we need to be in order to find joy in recovery and to be in recovery, right? To not indulge in those bad behaviors anymore. And so support groups give us that community, and it's free and it's everywhere. There's a lot of people out there that are selling programs to get sober and all that stuff. And to me, I think it's so wrong to try to sell people on that. There's more we can do for it that I get people can sell you stuff on, but there's a lot of free stuff out there for people that suffer with addictions to be able to get the help and support that they truly need. That's what I would recommend, is support groups like that. And again, there's science-based, Christian-based, Buddhist approach. Find whatever flavor works for you. Because the biggest thing is you're going to need to get to a point to figure out some higher power concept, whatever that means to you, because a higher power is a needed thing for us to find our sanity again and to believe in ourselves. And it helps us through the journey of the ups and downs. So whatever that is to you, that journey is for you to figure out. So right now we have, be aware you have a problem, get into a support group. It's therapy. Therapy. I will always say this. There's nothing wrong with getting more therapy. A therapist will help you work through things, because what it's going to come down to is you want to know what the root cause is. The root cause, a therapist can help you find out. Even a support group can too. But a therapist can really help you dive into it to work through it. Because all addicts have one thing in common, and that is trauma. And trauma can be, as they say, big T or little t. It doesn't have to be something so dramatic like getting stabbed or, molested or almost killed. It could be subtle things of abandonment and neglect and bullying and, just something that happened in your life that caused you to feel disconnected. And that's something we need to look at, because that's the thing that we need to heal in order to not only be clean and sober off of our addictive choice, it's going to help us find joy in life. Because you cannot indulge in your addictive behavior and be super depressed and unhappy. So that's why therapy, you get to look at the root cause of what's really going on. And you got to remember, the goal is to be able to forgive all things, because resentment is the number one offender for a relapse. And we can't live like that anymore. Forgiveness isn't for them, it's for us. And holding on to anger is just going to take us out at the end. And trust me, I know that. I was abused sexually when I was a kid, and my dad wasn't around. And I got bullied and I got cheated on, used and abused. And so I didn't want to forgive those people that hurt me. But the reality is I needed to forgive, not to make it right, but to be able to be free, to be able to live my life in my recovery, because I can't live with that anger. Because what you don't forgive, you become. And what that means is you don't do exactly what they do, but you're going to bleed onto the people that you love from all that pain. And then, of course, we're going to want to indulge in our addictive behavior when we're feeling frustrated, discontent, and unhappy. So that's something that's very important, is to find the root cause to be able to heal that thing. And so those will be the things to do to start working on your addiction, is get honest you have a problem, find a support group that's for you, and go to therapy to work on the root cause. And you'd be surprised what your life can be. Once I got clean and sober, I was able to go to college, graduate. I was able to start my own business, travel the world, fall in love, be able to be independent. And then I started to live my dream life. Like I really did. Like when you live right and you have this addiction gift and you start using it correctly, like I did, I was literally like shining in every area of my life, experiencing amazing things. All my dreams started to come true. And it's all because I was able to work on my addiction, to be free from it, and to give back, and to continue to work on myself no matter what. Because remember, we got to stay humble on this journey, because if you're prideful, you'll fall. And this is a disease that's not curable forever. We always got to put in the work. So we always want to stay connected, because we're always one decision away from ruining our life. And so we need to always be reminded of that by when we help others, how far we've come. And in future videos, what I'm going to do too is we'll break down some more stuff of how to really go through maybe 12-step programs, how they work, the refuge recovery, you know, all these different programs will really dive deep into how it works. We'll dive deep into how to find the right therapist. We'll dive deep into forgiveness and healing and different modalities of what we can do on this journey. This is just to get it started, to see like, hey, am I an addict? Why am I an addict? And what can I start doing to work on it? And that's what this video is really about. I just appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this. Hopefully things that I said was able to help you. Again, I'm speaking from my experience of being in addiction for 11 years. And I know it's not a fun thing to experience. It's not a fun thing to watch people go through, but you guys can break through it. You guys can recover, and you guys have a purpose in life. And I know you do. This addiction is not here to ruin your life. It's here to teach you how important you are in this world. Addicts are like the main characters in movies, and all the people outside that don't have addiction problems are just extras. And nobody wants to be an extra in a movie. Everyone wants to be the main character. And you guys are so loved, and you guys matter, and we need you. I love you. People love you. And there's people out there right now praying for help. And it's your story that you've been through that caused you to be an addict that people need to hear. And I hope you know that. So please just get honest with yourself, reach out for help, and never give up on yourself. Lean on people, find a power greater than yourself, and just let's go on this journey together. If I can do it, you can do it. And I love you guys. And again, if there's anyone that you know that needs to hear this, please like the video, please comment on the video, please send it to somebody, because the more people that can see this, the more people that we can help. And that's the goal, right? Is the more people we can heal, the more people can heal others. And there's a ripple effect. So thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. And again, I have ADHD, like I always say, which we'll do videos on that later. So sometimes I don't know if I said everything. But again, thank you guys. And until the next time, stay hopeful, my friends.